Welcome to another edition of the show with no name. Today is Friday, June the 15th, 2012. 12.
Well, still 12.
Oh, we've been on the air so long I lose track.
Day after Flag Day.
What's that?
That's right. Day after Flag Day. Day after Flag Day.
Yes, it is. And I still got my flag up from yesterday. I turned the light on behind it last night. I think it had a nice. I don't know if anybody saw it. What is it, my darling?
I bought a new flag and I forgot the flagpole.
Yes.
I bought a new flag and I forgot the flagpole.
Okay. Here's your chocolate milk.
So the flag is still laying on the counter. You should have one. That's more than most people do these days.
That was my granddaughter, Laura Ann Porcello. She's a recent graduate of the Noah's Ark preschool.
They go 2 by 2 into the ark.
Well, they did a skit. They did the Noah skit at the conclusion of the graduation.
Bill Cosby Noah skit?
No, not the Bill Cosby Noah skit. Noah, it's the Lord, Noah. I want you to build me an ark.
What's an ark, Lord?
Right.
Yeah.
What's an ark? Right. What's a cubit? That was great, wasn't it?
It was. I don't remember that sketch.
Oh, well, it was classic Bill Cosby. It was like his first
album.
Maybe his first big Noah. Who's that? Anyway, yeah, she played. Yeah, they did the Noah story. She played Mrs. Noah.
Mrs. Noah.
And she helped her husband build the ark. Somewhat revisionist, but generally in keeping with scripture. And then the other children came in 2 by 2 with these great costumes, and they're going, "Come on, animals!" Very moving, actually. Well, so I guess before we get into some of this other stuff, we're going to do this week. We're going to do the show in the right order. We're going to hit everything controversial up front, and we'll do the fluff later. Because last week I had to edit it all out. It was, I don't know if you watched the video, but it was somewhat confusing. Did you keep watching it like I suggested? You just keep hitting return so you get from the second hour to the first hour, the first hour to the second hour.
No.
Yeah. That was a good show last week.
A lot of them have been very good shows. They're all good shows.
Yeah.
As long as I'm here.
Well, you're always here.
So it's always good. So it's always a good show.
So it was a good show. Well, understand Her Majesty was on the radio this morning?
Yes, the Queen of Fluff. Yes.
Fluffy Land.
And she reiterated how wonderful she's been taking care of the city and how this $65 or 65 cents is a bargain that the city is getting. How it's the story. She's been going on and on and on.
Yeah, how hard right, and how carefully she looked at the budget, right?
Yes.
All right.
She said everybody.
She only had how many positions did she add? 3 positions, I guess. Right, 3
revisions or positions.
Positions.
Oh. So.
What is it? You know we're doing a show, right? What do you want to tell me? You want me to put this on you? You want to put it on me? I'm not going to wear a tattoo.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to wear a tattoo on my. No, this is a serious show I do here. I'm not going to put a Boston tattoo on my cheek. I did that for the Boston show. She's all right. She's all right.
Fine, young.
You want to be on the show? You can be on the show. All right, come on.
Go sit in your blue chair.
So.
Anyway,
after many questions, and Mike finally got in and started asking a question. He asked about the FEMA money and the grant money. She admitted it's somewhat phony.
If she's admitting it's somewhat phony,
well,
we all understand that it's really phony.
She didn't use that word, but the word that I'm trying to remember the word she used, but I can't. But she says, "Yes, we know, and next year it may hurt us because it's a one-shot deal, and we're not going to be able to do it again, and we need the money."
Yeah, so we can pay for next year.
Yeah.
Except we don't have any money for this year because all these positions you're adding have got to be paid.
But this year we're going to build on our contingency so that we're going to have the money.
That's a plan. Plan to plan.
Did you hear her?
I heard him say that.
Did it?
Yeah.
Build on a contingency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What total gobbledygook.
Well, they have to build on it because they've been cited for not having enough in the contingency.
How many questions does she answer? 4? 3? 4. See, I was off by 2.
Yeah.
And they're saying, how wonderful we are, we're lowering your water rate. Well, that's because they didn't transfer any money from the water fund to the general fund. The water rate would be shooting up if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. I didn't look at the last revision.
The last revision to something that they didn't vote on, right? Yeah. What nonsense, you know?
So I don't know if there was any money in the
the state should just come in and take the city over because they clearly don't know what they're doing. You know, and they're violating all their own rules. They're violating the state rules. They're violating the law.
She says all the aldermen and alderwomen are adults. They all have computers, so they can see the budget on their computers.
Yeah.
And they can go line by line at their home. They don't have to.
They don't have to talk about it or vote on it or do anything.
Or understand it.
Or understand it. They should know that. Well, she don't understand it. How can she expect the older?
Yeah. Have her sit down and say, "What does this item mean here, Mayor?"
Somebody asked her about contingency. Oh, she said, "I don't have the document in front of me."
Yeah.
That would have been a good document to bring with you.
Yeah, wouldn't you think?
Well, she could have brought it on her computer. She could have brought it up on Joey's computer. He was down there.
Well, yeah.
Honestly,
so it was.
Here's one thing we didn't discuss, and this is Jerry at his legal best. He's been telling them, and of course he's their corporation counsel, even though they have no confidence in him, still they follow everything he says. Yeah. He's been telling them that the Economic Development Department exists. It only has to be funded. Now, you may recall that one of the first things you did when you came back as alderman was pass a local law revoking the previous local law and abolishing the community development.
And I was...
Which I certified as corporation counsel as having been properly adopted. It was filed with the Secretary of the State and became part of the city's charter, or in this case, it revoked the part of the city's charter.
Well, Jerry made a determination, so that doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, so his determination is this one should have gone to a referendum. In this case, it should have gone to a referendum, right? He says it should have gone to a referendum because it removed the mayor's power to appoint an official. Well, it didn't go to a referendum when they adopted it. You know, it was just adopted by the Common Council, it went out the same way it came in. So it's total nonsense.
Yes.
But he rules, and that's it. And so they're there, year after year, saying, well, if you want the position, all we have to do is move the money into the position.
I think she also said that they got $25,000 from the town of Amsterdam for the water. Did she say that?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it in the budget. I saw $1,500.
Well, she didn't have the budget in front of her. You did, so you were at an advantage.
Yeah, you knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The city is going to have a rude awakening in the 2013-14 budget because...
No, they won't, because they'll just make one up next year too.
Yeah, that's true,
and they'll keep spending all this money they borrowed for projects that they didn't do. It's all illegal. It's all improper, and they'll just keep doing it, and they'll keep getting away with it because they can. Because the state has thrown up their hands and saying there's nothing we can do with these people.
And they don't have counsel enough with the balls to question what's going on. Every project they've done, they've borrowed for. They didn't have the money. They borrowed for.
They borrow if they're buying one computer. They borrow the money.
Yeah, money.
And all of a sudden, it's coming home to roost. And the payments, debt payments this year have doubled? Something like some crazy thing like that. That's
and they don't have any place to put the money, so it's somewhere's in the budget. So when they do something, they use that money that they borrowed that is illegal.
No, it's not even in the budget. It's just that's just some of that.
I asked where
those are those funds that are out there somewhere, not included in the budget.
I asked that question at one of the budget meetings where the money was for the Dove Creek project, the $1.3 million that they borrowed for that. I said, "You're not doing that." I said, "Where's that money?" No. Oh, I don't know. Not even the controller knew. I said, wow. I said,
Yeah,
we
amazing,
got,
huh?
We got $1.3 million, I says, and nobody knows where it is.
Yep. And I think they borrowed the money for the West End project, but I could be
Yes,
wrong
they
about
did.
that.
Yes, they did. But that was 3 years ago, though, right?
Well, yeah, we were still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
4 years ago.
4 years.
So they're going to have the votes coming up to pass and adopt this budget?
You know what? I don't know. You know, Richie's going to vote against it. Joey Isabel, questionable. Questionable, because he made the statement the other day that if the people didn't want it, he wasn't going to vote for it. And then the other day he says, well, we're going to have to look at see what's what. So that means that somebody's talking to him and
Some backdoor deal's going on.
the mayor's twisting his arm or something. Valerie, I'm not sure.
She voted no
Gina?
the first time.
Yeah.
So.
Gina?
Gina's on vacation, so strategically she plans her vacations during budget time. This is the second time, right? Has she been on vacation during budget?
Yeah, that was the controller. That was the old controller used to do it.
Yeah, but I think Gina did it too.
Well, I don't know. You know, she's not like us. She can't plan her. You know, she can't choose when her vacation time.
Oh,
is.
she can't?
I don't think so. No, I think it's like, you know. I mean, us. We can do whatever we want. Wow. So anyway, I mean, you know how mad I was last week. You can watch last week's video. First hour, second hour, first.
So this is going to be Tuesday night. It's going to be interesting.
Are they going to broadcast this one? Will Time Warner have resolved the landline issue that occurred last week? So people can actually see?
Well, they said they were going to, but
Because
I'll believe it when I see it.
he was on the phone yesterday with them during the
Yeah.
morning show,
So-
trying to get that resolved.
yeah. So he said.
Wow. I keep hearing I'm going back on the radio, but you know, it's a hot rumor around town.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, the guy whispered it to me Tuesday night.
yeah. There you go.
I said, really? He said, yep.
Well, sure thing, right? Only nobody's talking to me.
Uh-oh, the last one to know.
Bob and who's going to go with you? I forgot.
Duke
No.
and Wills?
Bill.
Bill Wills.
Bill
Bill
Wills.
Wills. Bill
I
Wills.
have talked. I will say I have talked to Bill a couple of times about the concept, and that's about as far as it's gone. You know.
I was.
Assume there'll be big money
I
involved.
mentioned to somebody that there was the rumor was that you were and Bill were going to, and they said, well, what about you? Aren't you going to get a show? I said, Joe Isabel doesn't want me around.
Well, where I go, you guys go, and that's it.
He's,
And we'll probably keep doing this show anyway.
yeah.
What the hell? I paid for the website for 2 years. Might as well.
Don't want it to go to waste.
Yeah. So,
But you realize, though, the city budget is only 25% of your tax bill when you receive your tax bill. The rest of it belongs to the school district, as the
And the
mayor
county.
so admirably explained to everyone this morning.
I didn't catch that. That must have been when I was in the car.
That was one of the early things. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal.
oh, it's never that big a deal. No.
And
They just
everybody-
keep going up and up. I mean, it's the
And
frog in the
nobody's concerned-
it's the
nobody's
frog in the
concerned.
water.
You're
Nobody's
paying for-
concerned because everybody wants that service.
Yeah, absolutely. You receive many services in this community. You have police, fire, sewer, water, road repair.
Wow.
These are all things that have to be paid for.
I don't know. Are there roads in the town of Amsterdam?
Yeah, I believe there's
There are roads,
several.
and you know, there's, you know, when the crime is committed, does somebody show up to investigate it?
There has been in the past.
Yeah. If your house is burning, is there?
Well, wait a minute now. They've got 41, 42 policemen on the department, so they need
There's
one
four.
car.
But what? It's 4 firehouses in the town of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Two for the Fort Johnson district, Hageman and Cranesville.
They
Right?
need one car for every 2 policemen, just in case. And now they need 2 cars for code, and 1 car for
New cars, you mean?
yeah.
Get out of here!
Yes.
The codes people always use the most beat up car in the fleet.
Listen, the police department has
The mayor keeps getting new cars.
The police department has 24 cars.
Yeah.
They don't need 24. They could give 2 to the codes department.
Yeah.
2 of the highest mileage cars,
yeah,
give to the codes, because the codes are not on emergency calls. They don't have to worry about a breakdown.
Right.
And the third car that somebody needs, I forgot who needed that, they could give them, you know. So there's no big deal with the needing cars. It's
you remember those crappy cars the codes guys are driving? Oh, God, I didn't think they'd make it out of the parking lot.
When I talked to New York State and Michigan and San Diego, their police departments, their oldest cars, the ones they're getting rid of, that they're replacing, go to the detectives. Because the
detectives aren't racing to it.
The detective just drives to the scene, does an investigation, and goes back. So they get the oldest car. When it's a junk, then they get rid of it, and they get the next oldest car from the police department. Why do we have to have new cars for the detectives?
Well, that's silly, especially since they're the ones who get all the drug cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is okay with. I mean, there are certain kinds of vehicles that are not necessarily good police vehicles and be perfectly fine detective vehicles, and those are the ones you get from the druggies.
The theory was that they get leased cars, new leased cars, because the criminals don't know the car. The criminals know that car the minute they get it.
Right. Right.
My son said, "Don't let anybody kid you." He says they know what cars we're driving before anybody else does.
My God, when we were kids, and some of my friends occasionally got into trouble, they knew every unmarked car in the city. What is it, my darling?
It's warm out here and the pool is warm.
The pool is warm. You're gonna go swimming?
Yeah.
All right.
That's my potty.
You have to go potty first, okay?
I just put my feet in and suddenly it was warm.
Yeah. We don't go.
I'm gonna put my bathing suit on now.
Yeah, okay. We don't go potty in the pool, though, right?
No.
No.
She's gonna go swim while Edie here takes a bath.
Go on.
She's lucky.
Yeah, she's lucky.
She's lucky.
Wow. Hi, dog. I don't know if he came on camera or not, but Master Chip is here.
I think you gotta cut back on his rations a little bit.
Rob, can you unbutton me?
Unbutton you? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Not on camera, though. Okay. Didn't we just get dressed about 5 minutes ago? All right.
Yes.
Okay. This is my granddaughter, Laura Ann.
So what else? Let's see.
School's up. She'll be here a lot on Fridays.
So what else is going on with the city? Anything?
Oh, well, Master Scracky raises some interesting points this morning.
I missed that this morning.
Well, he posted it pretty early. It was because I woke up about 5:30 this morning and it was already up at that.
Well, I only went on to see if we were having this show today.
Oh.
And I didn't see it listed, so I said, it must be we are.
Oh yeah, that's right. Gavin and I had a little thing. Yes, I don't know. Okay. You know, Thursday comes up real fast in the week these days. I notice.
And they put it after Wednesday this week, so maybe even shorter.
So, yeah.
All right, this is about the Ann Thane Center for the Performing Arts, or the Arts, or I guess it's not performing arts.
Didn't see that either.
Well, Jerry raises some interesting points about. We're talking about the former East End mental health center that was run social club that was run by St. Mary's Hospital for many years, 30 years, I guess, something like that. And the mayor was startled to discover that the city owned it when they gave up the lease. Is that my granddaughter yelling? Anyway, I hear mom. Anyway, the mayor, on her own, completely on her own, has gone down there, taken over the building, created a foundation to run the place as an art center without any common council input whatsoever. Now, you may recall I wrote at the time when the city took this over, I gave a whole history of the place, and I said, this is when the common council should get rid of this property. Put it up for sale. If a not-for-profit comes along and wants it, give it to them, because it's worth less than zero. It is of no value to the city whatsoever as a city entity. You're only going to end up sinking more money into a white elephant in the neighborhood that's not going to appreciate it, and it'll break your hearts before even before it breaks your wallet. No one pays attention to me, of course. Nobody on the Common Council has raised a question about this in public session in any event, and it's outrageous. I'm sorry, where does the mayor get this authority to do this stuff? So Jerry goes into it in some detail this morning, and it's stuff I didn't know about.
I got to give Jerry a lot of credit.
Oh boy,
he's very knowledgeable and he's very investigative.
Yeah. It was a great idea that has gone sour. This is Jerry speaking. I wrote about the proposed Amsterdam Center for the Arts back in March of this year when the city then realized it owned the building that formerly housed a mental health outreach center for St. Mary's Hospital at 305 East Main Street. Before that, it was a furniture store and a church. Prior to that, there was also a junk store in between there.
Yes. Yeah.
Until last year, it was the polling place for 2 sections of the 5th Ward. The city had... Listen to this! The city had paid the utility bills for the building for years and did not realize that either. The city paid the utility bills for 30 years on this place. No wonder the controller's having such a hard time with the budget. Now let's stop right there for a second. You know, we've been a little harsh on Heather Renicky over the period the show's been on. But I will say this, when she first took office, one of the things that she did do was start going through all the power bills and trying to figure out what the heck they were, because I don't know how many, what do we have, 100 power bills a month? It's one for every meter.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about, for every the light poles, it's probably hundreds, actually. The Riverlink Park, the Public Safety Building, there's probably several down there, and on and on and on and on and on. And some of these she could, and buildings that we own that were power, that we, and it was a freaking nightmare because nobody knew. I mean, it wasn't obvious from a lot of these bills what it was. So she'd be on the phone with the National Grid trying to figure out what is what. I think she probably didn't get that one. Oh, Mohawk Mills Park, every time they turn on the lights for the ball game, that's right. So, I mean, we've got, I think everywhere there's a street light, it's a separate meter. All this stuff. I mean, it was incredible. I don't think
there's one on every street light. I think
maybe not on every on every light, but I think not on every street lamp. But I think every
so often
every traffic signal has its own. Anyway, so just think of it. That's also, after police and fire, the city's largest expense is
electric
and street lighting. Yeah. It's a huge amount, and nobody looks at that. Anyway, Mayor Thane proposed the space be used for an art center. I attended the meetings, this is Jerry again, as I thought this would be great for our community. As a published photographer who has had a few gallery showings of fine art prints, I realized there was no gallery space anywhere around here. There will be shortly, by the way, on 100 Church Street. I decided I would support this effort and attended the planning meetings, made suggestions, offered my help with photography and marketing. I had a lot of time and committee experience to give to the effort until politics got in the way. After a few meetings with the public, the mayor decided to handpick an advisory committee headed by her former administrative aide, Tom Georgia, soon to be the new community development expert. The rest of the committees were women, many who did not take part in any of the planning meetings, but were personal friends of the mayor. The newly formed group met privately and would not answer any email inquiries. They held one public meeting on June 7th when the committee members Tom Georgia, Julia Caro, Jessica Murray, Gail Talmadge, and Janet Tangay introduced themselves and presented a mission statement. That is all they had for the interested public who had waited for some sign of progress from the group. I had, meaning Jerry, many questions, but they were not readily answered. I asked what role the advisory board played and if the Amsterdam Common Council had approved of this endeavor. Georgia snidely stated, quote, "We only answer to the mayor," unquote. Prior to establishing an advisory board, the mayor contracted with an urban hip-hop dance group to use the center for dance lessons without council approval.
Mm-hmm.
She's renting the place out
Without the council knowing.
without the council even knowing about it. Today, the advisory board announced they were now an incorporated private entity calling themselves the Amsterdam Creative Canvas Foundation. The advisory board members were now trustees, and another woman, Patricia Vivarito, was also named a trustee. I do not know her, as she has not attended any of the meetings. And then he shows this newsletter from, with the, kind of nice. I don't know if this is stationary or this is off the internet. Amsterdam Creative Canvas newsletter, June 2012. Board of Trustees: Tom Georgia, President; Julia Carroll, Vice President; Jessica Murray, Gail Talmadge, the people he just named. And the winner is Creative Canvas is the winning entry for the Cultural Arts Center name contest. After a 2-week submission period and ballot process, this is the name you decided. Who's that you?
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Now, well, they put the thing on the board downtown. Come up with a name. Call the mayor's office and tell them how you want to name the Cultural Arts Center, and then our friend Curtis Penninger was running the board, and he put up, how about the Ann Thane Cultural Center or the Paul Tonko Cultural Center? Guess what? City employees showed up at his door and demanded the city's laptop back. He was no longer taking care of it. Our new economic development director will be taking care of this. In other words, Tom Georgia.
I'm going to have to start driving around that area now so I can.
I drive there twice a day, 4 days a week, and unless you get a red light there, you can't read it.
You can't read it.
Foundation Fund and Fundraising. The Amsterdam Creative Canvas Foundation is now officially formed. The Board of Trustees met to formally adopt articles of incorporation and is set to begin its membership drive and community events. Dance Camp registration. Creative Canvas will host Amsterdam Hip Hop Summer Dance Camp June 25th to July 6th. It's even starting in this fiscal year. There is still time to register, ages 5 to 18.
Maybe
we
that's
missed the cutoff.
Maybe that's how they're going to finance the city next
Well, they're not
year.
going to check IDs, are they? We should go down. I'd like to learn hip hop.
It's about all I can do is hop.
And we're all hip.
Yeah, that's
Lord
right.
knows. Heck, we're so old, we're hip. This is Jerry again.
Don't keep saying that, Bob.
This is Jerry again. It seems to me that the correct process is for the city's legislative body to negotiate and approve contracts and use of city property with the mayor approve contracts and use of city property with the mayor acting as executive to sign the contracts. Yeah, no kidding. I don't see where this now private corporation has any authority to make decisions about the disposition or use of city property without the approval of the Amsterdam Common Council. There is no argument there, folks. That he's absolutely 100% right. 100% right. No, this private foundation has no authority to do anything with that building. None whatsoever. Now, having said that, I'm going back to what I said before. If the city wants to give this property to that foundation, give it to them today and the power bill.
Yep.
I got no problem with that.
Get out from under it.
Get out from under it. And if they go belly up, then, they go belly up. That's it. Jerry again. I was a big advocate of creating a community arts center for the city of Amsterdam, as you can see in this earlier article, which he links to, but I can no longer support this tainted effort. The public no longer has any input, and micromanagement has destroyed what should have been an inclusive democratic process. I really thought Ann Thane could put party politics aside for the betterment of the community, but I was wrong. It was made very clear when she mistakenly sent me a copy of an email intended for Roberto Mian. I'm just going to quote, this is great. Be real careful before you hit the send button.
Because you never know.
Jerry sent me this one. This was back in April. This is from Ann Thane to Rob Mian. But it says CC Gerald Scracky. She put his name in there as a carbon copy, actually, which means that
Maybe she didn't know what CC meant.
Oh yeah. We could make up all kinds of things for that, couldn't we? All right. So this is Anthane to Rob Me On, and we all know who he is, or we know several people he is. Anyway. By the way, you remember Rob Me On saying he didn't really know the mayor, and then I saw them having breakfast together at the at the diner just before the election, like the day before he put out this anti-Joe Emanuel diatribe on the internet under a phony name. Yeah, remember that? Yeah. Anthane to Rob Me On, carbon copy, Gerald Scrocky. I'd blocked this guy yesterday. He takes everyone on Mr. Toad's wild ride. I prefer to command my own thoughts. Rob, lose the loser. Love you, A. Smiley icon. Emoticon. Well, first of all, she spells loser wrong. She spells it looser. And I loose the looser is what she says.
So she has to be careful with the sentence. She should also use
spell check. You should also use proper spelling and grammar.
Okay.
All right. So, needless to say, Jerry is infuriated when he gets this copy, and then he doesn't include what he wrote to her, and I assume he wants to keep that private. But anyway, so he responds to this to her, and she responds to Jerry. My apology for being unintentionally insensitive. Unintentionally? What does that mean, unintentionally insensitive? I mean, I didn't intend for you to see this. But yeah. This was meant to be a missive between two people. I guess God is not finished teaching me lessons.
No, I don't think he has.
He's probably done with her, yeah. Words are amazingly painful. Photos are, too. They are why I block you from my accounts and why I don't read your blog. Please remove my email from any of your email accounts. Thanks, A. Not love you, A. And there's no emoticon after that. No. And then she's got this automatic quote at the end on her signature line. When you are through changing, you are through. Bruce Barton. I don't think she knows who Bruce Barton is. You know who Bruce Barton is?
I don't know who Bruce Barton is.
Bruce Barton was a writer. Wrote a very famous biography of Jesus called "The Man Nobody Knows." Kind of like, Jesus if he had grown up in the Midwest and belonged to the Rotary Club. It was a good book, a good writer. Then he became a congressman, and he was one of Franklin Roosevelt's three, I say favorite or really unfavorite congressmen, and he used to refer to them in his speeches denouncing the Republicans. He referred to, it was like wink and blink and nod. Martin, Barton, and Fish. Martin, Barton, and Fish. Joe Martin, who later became, but these guys were the minority the whole time. Joe Martin became the Speaker of the House when the Republicans took over. Barton is this guy, Bruce Barton. He later ran for the Senate from New York and lost in the 40s. And Fish was Hamilton Fish, who was his personal congressman, and he hated him so much that he even got Tom Dewey to back the Democrat when Fish was running for re-election. So Fish ultimately lost. Martin, Barton, and Fish. So she's quoting that. But is anything he's saying there wrong? No.
No.
And it really shows you that, when she wants everybody to think she's this most wonderful, kind, loving, I would never hurt anybody. And she's vicious. She's one of the most vicious people I've ever met in my life.
you know, and if this is such a good thing, do it the right way.
Do it the right way.
And then
They
people
would
say-
be able to do this with this common council like that if she
Yeah.
wanted to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But no, this is mine. This is mine. Like when she took over City Hall, everything was hers. You know, we're not going to have. We're going to turn this into a meeting room. And how many? She took all that roof money and spent it.
And they don't use it. And they don't use it.
Well, I don't know. I've used it a couple of times.
Have you?
Yeah. For meetings, but yeah. She rented out that space to Paul Tonko without anybody's permission,
But when it's your
and then takes the money and uses it somewhere else. Yeah.
when it's your fiefdom, you can do what you want with
No,
it.
when you're the king,
You're the king.
it's good to be the king
It is good to be the king
or the queen.
or the kink. She has no idea of appropriateness of process.
All right.
Because even things that might be rocky, if you follow the process, you can still be successful when people say, gee, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
But when you take a good idea and just do it yourself, people are going to say, I don't own it, I'm not part of it. And it doesn't have the ultimate desired effect that you want it to have. She has no understanding of decorum, how to handle
Right.
things in her position.
Well, this is kind of very similar to that crazy scheme she had last year for buying the Clara Bacon School, the Bacon School,
Yeah.
the one over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob Spagnola come up with this great concept to turn it into an athletic center, and then everything else. Yeah.
This is the next best thing, cultural center.
Another expense for the city. That's all it is.
But it's not that big a portion of your taxes, Jim.
No, it
No,
isn't.
it is. It's just a little part. Don't worry about it.
Don't
Yeah,
worry
well,
about
that, that's the whole concept.
okay.
But you've got one over here, you've got one here, and you've got one there,
Oh, they add up.
and they all add up.
Ah, there's the rub.
As Everett Dirksen used to say,
Yeah.
a billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's a trillion here, a trillion there.
It's like they used to say, well, gee, it's only a few cents more.
Yeah, but a few cents.
Every budget, it's only a few cents more, 1,000.
How many houses for sale in this city right now?
It's almost
I
as
don't
many
know.
as are not for sale.
It looks like there's probably 2 on every street.
At least.
Some streets.
I
you
think
got
Bill
more.
Wells told me there are 58 on his hill,
Really? Wow.
if I understood him correctly. And I believe it because we're trying to sell my mother-in-law's house, and it's like there's 3 other houses within 2 blocks of hers that are similar and are priced lower, and we got to keep competing with that.
And then where he is, a lot of those are probably original owners.
A lot of them are sure because those were built in the 40s. Most of them.
I was taking a ride the other day with my sister and my wife, and we were up on the hill, up on the boulevards over here,
The Heights.
the heights, and my sister says, "Wow," she says, "even homes up here for sale."
Yeah, no kidding.
I said, yeah, I said, what'd you
Because they
say?
can't afford the taxes now.
Well, and it's not so much you can't afford the taxes as why should you live there when you can live somewhere else and not pay those taxes and put the money in your pocket? I mean, oh my God. Well, you remember when Peter Thomas was here when we did the show at the coffee shop? First time he'd been in Amsterdam since 1968. And he's telling us how much he's paid in taxes in Florida and then in Georgia when he bought the house in Georgia. And I'm sorry, what? You mean you can be next to Disney World and pay $400 a year in taxes, or you can be up here and pay $7,000?
Yeah, well, she said there's no problem with paying the taxes here. She said, so what? It's going to stay the same. It's only going to go up a little bit. So, why do you want to go down? Why do you want the taxes to go down?
You can't understand it.
No.
Because they're about 4 times as high as they should be to begin with. That's 4 times what would be sustainable.
She also said that she had 3 restaurants that wanted to go downtown.
I didn't hear that.
She had 3 restaurants. I'm pretty sure she said 3. 3 restaurants that wanted to go downtown, but she had nobody to nobody to show them or to take. I said, wait a minute. I mean, you got 3 people that want to come down there, and you can't go down there with them and show them the
yeah. I've heard her say that. Yeah. There's nobody to show them around. Really? What's Ada doing? I mean, that's.
Well, she's a marketing expert. She said she was a marketing
that's right.
expert
When she
ran.
That's right. I will be your marketer.
That's right.
Right.
That's my expertise.
I mean, what total nonsense. All she's trying to do since she got office was to find a job for Tom Georgia because he's her political aide. Is the way he identified himself. Yeah. My job is to run the politics for her. And that's absolutely what it is. That's what he does. That's what he does. He's one of these radical Olinskyites whose sole job is to denounce the Republicans and get their people in place.
Well, because his people don't have jobs, and he can create jobs in government for these people to have.
That's right. That's government's job, is to create places for people who can't do anything else to
get a job there.
Yeah.
You know.
Because they know better than the rest of us. I mean, I'm waiting for how long it's going to be before she introduces legislation on how much soda we can drink. I mean, that can't be. I mean, that's right down her alley, right? You know, never mind the stuff the government's supposed to do. Let's decide how big your 16 ounces okay, but 20 ounces, oh no, can't have 20 ounces. Too much oil in the potato chips.
But you could have 2 16ers.
You can have 2.
Yes, you can have 2
you can have 1. You can, but you can't have 1 great big.
Right.
That's. Yeah.
Something amusing you, Gavin?
Yes, there is something amusing me. I read an article in the Post this morning that Nanny Bloomberg is trying to pass legislation for the hack drivers in New York City.
To be more polite?
Oh no! To be able to fine them and take their licenses if they get convicted of transporting a woman of the evening to an appointment.
Really?
And they have a picture in there with all these young ladies down there saying, "Who's going to pick us up? We aren't people of the evening." But they're not. A cab driver isn't going to want to stop and pick us up because we can get stopped.
Right.
Okay.
Right. A girl going clubbing is not going to be able to get a ride home.
Yeah. Because the guy doesn't want to. The delivery driver won't take the chance.
What insanity! I think this guy really is off his rocker completely. When he's a billionaire, you don't say that. You know, it's the emperor in the clothes thing.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire. You can't say this guy's off his rocker. This guy's off his rocker. He's clearly off his rocker because that's all he's talking about is this crazy stuff.
Control.
Yeah. You remember? I'm sure you do. Woody Allen's Bananas.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, a classic of the American cinema. The scene where the revolutionary leader finally takes over and he gives his opening address, and it turns out he's just as bad a dictator as the last guy. From now on, the national language of this country will be Swedish. I forget what the second thing was. And the third thing was, and everyone must change their underwear 3 times a day. And you must wear it on the outside so we can check. And Field acknowledges he's worse than the last guy, you know, and he loses his faith in the revolution.
It's horrendous, the depth to which our government is trying to put. They're not putting their hand in your pocket anymore. They're putting their hand in your pants.
Yep.
All right. They're skipping the pocket altogether.
Yep.
And it is wrong. It is wrong. The government that governs least governs best.
Who said that?
Geez, one of our boys. Tommy?
I think it was.
I think it's Tom.
Careful, Laura. I don't think you should do that. You want to come over?
Yeah.
Well, then let me lift you over. Let me lift you over because I don't want you tripping on the wires. You gonna be all right?
Yeah.
All right. Don't trip on the wires because we're going to go off the air if you do. You got to step right over the wires.
People in Herzegovina is going to be very upset with us.
That's right. You know, those of you, I know we get a lot of inquiries, you know, in the emails after these shows. A lot of people are asking, why aren't we using the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme anymore? And the reason is precisely that is because I got that notice from YouTube. What? I'm telling a story, honey. I got the notice from YouTube that we were being banned in Montenegro and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia because we were using that short clip from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Really?
And since like half of our viewers are in the former Yugoslavia, I couldn't do that. I couldn't take that risk. So in order to remain on YouTube, and YouTube's been very good. They let us put up these 2-hour shows every week. I had to get rid of the theme song.
You have friends in Yugoslavia?
I have friends all over the world.
Oh, I was wondering why I was watching this from there.
I have friends all over the world.
Well, you don't think I don't have any friends?
I don't have any friends, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for stamp collecting. You get these foreign letters coming in, and it's great.
There you go.
It's hard to read when they write, though, because they don't write in English.
So you can't thank them.
I can't thank them.
But anyway, I hope you people are still watching. They didn't give up just because of that little theme song incident. Wow. What are we into? We're not even done with our first hour yet. I don't know. Well, Jim, I saw your picture in the paper. You went to the budget hearing the other night.
Oh, yes, I did.
Tell us about that.
I did. Well, it was quite interesting. Former Alderman Jim Marticello got up and he made a pretty good speech about the community economic development shouldn't be there. Jerry's raise shouldn't be there, and he was very good. He was, matter of fact, I think he was the first person he was very, very good.
He knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about, and everybody praised him, saying that with his experience on the council, that he knew what he was talking about, and it was great. I think there was only 2 people that got up and spoke in favor of the mayor. One was Phil Lyford.
And Ken Major.
And Ken Major. Those are the only 2.
Now let me say this. What Ken Major had to say was so bizarre in itself that I'm astonished that this guy is living on the same planet as us.
Yeah.
He said, well, first of all, he said, well, people want to move here because the prices of houses are low. He's right, the prices of houses are low here. And then he goes on to say, and because our taxes are so low. People are flocking to move here because our taxes are so low.
Yeah. The flock, you say.
Yeah, right. Get the flock out of here is what we used to say. Right. Yeah. I mean,
what taxes are low?
What planet is he living on? We've got some of the highest taxes in the United States of America here. How can he say that with a straight face, unless it's completely rose-colored glasses? Obviously, he's just saying things to say them.
Yeah, well, he's defending the mayor, and to think that he ran for alderman.
Yeah.
Aren't we glad that he didn't make it?
Yeah, we got Joe Isabel instead.
Well, Joey's not quite as bad. He's bad, but he's not quite
and this
as
is the smartest ward in the city. This is where all the college graduates live.
Yeah, really? But we don't have the smartest supervisors or aldermen in this ward. Not in the city. They're not the smartest. That's for sure.
Wow. This is it's just.
Well, we're going to see Tuesday because he said.
Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So. Major spoke and Lyford spoke. What else was going on?
Everybody else got up and they said that even the mayor's friends got up and said that this budget was bizarre with the raises and
right. Even Donna Dickerson said that. Who was a good friend of the mayor's.
She said that, and she said it.
Curtis Penninger.
Curtis was very good, except he spoke against Wisbicki. But he said he spoke against Wisbicki to get people that were for him to speak up. I thought.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nobody gets a pass on this budget process. Not even Ron.
No. I didn't get up and say anything because I had said it in the last 4 budget sessions. So I said, well, everybody else is saying the same things I said before. So
now the mayor afterwards puts on Facebook something to the, another one of these feeling sorry for herself things, you know, how lonely it is at the top, and the people she thought were her friends, or no, now I know who my real friends are and who my friends are. So, you know, in other words, if you're a toady for the mayor on 99% of everything you do, but you go against her on one thing, even when you're saying how much you like her in the process. And there were several people who did that.
Yes,
Donna, it was Dan Weaver in his column. I mean, he was very he came down very hard on the corporation council issue. And then waited 2 days before saying, this doesn't mean I don't like the mayor, because obviously she called him up crying and whining. Oh my God! I mean, can you stand the drama? Lord.
So they asked the mayor on the radio today what she felt about the budget vote Tuesday. I'm trying to think of you know, the words she used, but it came down to, well, the people are going to speak. Did you hear that part?
Yeah. People are going to speak. Now,
people are going to speak.
But are the aldermen going to be responsive to what the people say?
That's the question.
We don't know what everybody's motives were in approving the budget preliminarily. I mean, it was so late in the game. They had to schedule the public hearing. It is possible that one or two of the people who voted for the budget did so just to get the public hearing scheduled, and there's still time to vote on other things. But you know, you need 4 votes for anything to change anything that's in the budget here. So where's Bicky? Is Bicky going to go along with all this nonsense or not? He has so far. I mean, how can they? Did anybody even discuss the bus issue? I mean, that's a huge piece of change.
No, but that's because they didn't go line by line.
Yeah.
Which the mayor says you don't have to, because we got.
Well, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to, you know.
Shit.
I mean, essentially, they've done what Michael suggested they should do. Just throw everything into contingency fund and have a big pot of money.
Spend out of that.
Well, that's what she's doing for
when
next year.
When we run out of money, we're out.
That's what she's doing for next year.
Well, that's what she's doing right now.
Because well, she's
in
building
effect,
it.
Because the budget means nothing. It's a joke.
She's building it up now because next year she's not going to have any money, and she needs that contingency.
She isn't building up anything because the expenses exceed the revenues by a long shot in this budget.
They don't call it fund balance. They're not calling it fund. They're calling it contingency.
Well, there's that's two completely different things.
Exactly, but they're using the contingency because that'll carry over. Well, the fund balance would also, but
so unused contingency becomes part of the fund balance.
But contingency, you can keep using it. Fund balance is a little more difficult to use.
Well, first of all, as we've said many times here, how you doing, darling? As we've said many times here, it is improper for the city to have unallocated fund balance. Period. The city is not allowed to have unallocated fund balance. You have to put the fund balance into several different categories.
And we tried that.
You put it in the category. You put it in the category reserve for to keep taxes in balance. In other words, you can put in up to 10% of your budget. In a fund. You can't put 10% a year. It's 10%. It maxes out at 10% of your budget. You can put that in a special reserve for future taxation. That's allowable. You know, it's sort of what they're saying, only it's not what they're doing. They just throw everything into a pot and hope that it comes out all right in the end.
You can have several.
You can put in capital fund, yes, which we don't have. Put in money for future. You're going to buy 3 new police cars a year or whatever. I'm just using that as a figure, not to get under your skin here. So you put aside the money for next year's. If you got extra money, if you got money in the fund balance, you put it aside for future capital expenses. That way, the following year, when you have to buy one, there's the money. It's in the capital fund.
Right.
And there's like 5 or 6 categories like this. I don't want to get in. Pete, come on over. But they don't do that. They don't even know what's in the fund balance. Anyway, we're delighted here, almost beginning our second hour, to have watch the wires there, Pete. We have noted baseball star, should be a member of the Hall of Fame, Mr. Pete Rose.
How are you? Good to see you. How are you?
Pete, nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Good of you to come.
Yeah, well, of course.
All right, now let's see if you're in the camera. You're not.
Nice,
you gotta lean a little more toward Gavin.
It's a nice, it's a good day.
All right, good. There you go.
got your stuff.
Good.
All right. Okay.
Especially if the sun is
So we have a cup for you.
Oh,
Unused.
that's
You're
good.
lucky.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Is that an unused
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
This is
that's an
okay.
unused one. That's for him. All right, now wait. And of course, just so people don't get confused, you're not that Pete Rose.
No, I'm not.
I was going to say.
I never claimed to be, but I can swing a mean bat though.
Now let me ask you this: do you know whether you were named for him or
No, I was not.
you were not? Clearly not.
Long story short,
Yeah.
my dad's best friend was killed at the age of 18.
Oh wow.
Hello, Laura. At 18, in a freak building accident. And
Freak what?
building. They had a building. They had a structure up, and for whatever reason, they decided to. They started to lean, so they took a rope and tied it to a dump truck to bring it back up. And well, the wind came up and it shifted the other way, and my dad fell outside the building, broke his arm, and his best friend Pete Sheldon fell inside, and the structure collapsed on him.
God.
So anyway, that's my namesake. It was Pete
Sheldon?
Pete Sheldon.
Oh, Pete.
So that's where the Pete Rose just happens to come into play.
Wow. At the time you were born, certainly everybody knew who the other Pete Rose was.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Wow. Now, Peter is, I'm sure everybody knows Peter who's ever been to a funeral, because he's one of the stalwarts of the Betts, Rossi, Bellinger, and Stewart funeral home chain, right?
That's correct.
And basically in-house proprietor of the Canajoharie branch, right?
True.
Yeah.
True.
So that's who he is. He's also my son Bob's best friend from kindergarten, right?
Yeah. This is true.
And Bob was best man at his wedding.
Is that a bragging point, or is that?
Well, I think I was the only one that Bob talked to for
so
quite a
there you
lot
go.
of years.
Okay. No, that's really
so.
that's
I think we can.
incredible but true.
I think we can.
Bobby did not talk in pre-K, kindergarten, or first grade in school. If he was called on in class, he just put his head down. I think it was in first grade, Mrs. Van Allen, your cousin,
Right.
had cousin-in-law, whatever, had him sit by the blackboard, and he would write his answers on the blackboard, but he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
But he talked to Pete. Quietly, of course.
Yeah.
So everybody else in the class thought he couldn't talk at all, but he talked to Pete.
They had a lot of secrets.
And,
Yeah.
and when they graduated from high school, we found the movie of their kindergarten graduation where they're standing together and
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
yeah. And he's godfather to your son too, right?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
How are the little kidlings?
They're good. They are good.
Yeah. And,
Taryn graduated pre-K on Tuesday. Monumental feat there, I guess. Bittersweet for us. But, she's 4 going on about 35. So.
yeah.
But, and Jack just continues to grow. You never know he was 4 pounds.
He's bigger than her now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You never know he was 4 pounds when he was born. And
Yeah, he was just a peanut. Actually, he was.
So it was kind
a
of
couple months
touch and
premature,
go,
wasn't
touch
he?
and go there for a little while, and now
Yeah.
you never know it. He's taller, bigger, stronger.
He shot up.
Yeah.
What's the age difference there?
A year and 4 days.
Okay.
More or less.
More or less, yeah. But he's actually.
Yeah, but he was what, 2 months premature? It was
about a month and a half.
month and a half, 6 weeks, 6 weeks premature.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
yeah.
And it was funny because the doctor said to me, we rushed down to Albany Med, and they were guessing weights, and I said, well, I think he's going to be probably about, maybe about 5 pounds. And she was like, honey, no, you need to brace yourself. Everything. Sure enough, he came out. He was 4 pounds and something ounces, and they were shocked. They couldn't believe it.
I can imagine what he would have been full time.
Well, that's the scary part.
12 pounds,
that's the scary part.
Yeah,
we would have had a world record here, right in the city, definitely.
Wow. So, Pete, what's bothering you?
Life is good.
You've been a longtime fan of this show, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. In fact, I try to tune in weekly, but if not, I catch the
reruns.
The rerun. It's always good. But we had a. I think it's a good thing to talk about. We had a monumental service yesterday. Quite fitting. A young Bobby Bauer, who was killed tragically.
It's Jack's grandson, right?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And we don't always have the opportunity to really take a tragic instance such as that and make it a positive one. And I think it was one of the largest funerals that we've had in recently. But 101 cars.
My wife said motorcycle. By my house.
I'm talking just sedans, or from the first family car back. 101, 17 motorcycles.
It must have been at the cemetery before some of the cars had left the church, right?
This is true. This is true. Yeah. This is true. But what was interesting about it was, yesterday was Flag Day. And
plus he was a serviceman.
And he was Navy. And just a couple quick facts. We always played with the band. We would always do a celebration at the Elks Lodge for Flag Day and whatnot. And but yesterday kind of took on a new meaning. We had 17 motorcycle guys from the Patriot Guard Riders, and their chapter here, in upstate New York, is a little bit smaller. But on any given funeral, it's whenever they can, when they can.
And they also provide escorts for the honor flights down to Washington all the time.
And not that we run into this a lot in New York, but with protesters at funerals, they also run that interference buffer. But they're a sharp group of men and women that came out yesterday. But Flag Day, it really touched upon. We had, I think, about 15 naval officers there. 6 who were active pallbearers. We had a firing squad, and they actually flew in the commander from the ship and his best friend from Japan.
Wow.
To be there, and you couldn't help but be proud to be an American. To see the precision at the cemetery and whatnot, and it was quite an event. It was, you couldn't help but be proud, and how fitting it was for Flag Day. So that takes on a new meaning.
You're only missing one thing.
What's that?
Bagpipe.
The bagpipe. That would have been.
You got the card.
That's
down
right.
there.
We do.
Should have had the bagpiper.
I didn't know that this funeral was going to go by the house, but I was working in my cellar on some furniture, and it was after the procession went by. My wife comes, Jim, she said, "You missed the biggest procession I've ever seen." We live on Guy Park Avenue.
Right.
She says, "The biggest procession I've ever seen at a funeral." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" She said, "Well, the Bauer funeral just went by." And she said, all the motorcycles, and
where were the cars?
Actually,
they were all over Guy Park Ave.
The funeral service was at the funeral home.
They were everywhere.
There isn't that much of a. Where was it? St. Stan's he was buried.
Yeah.
Actually, I was sort of kidding about that, but they probably hadn't exited before the entrance came.
Definitely, and it was interesting because I think it would have been the naval base was running. I think they were running, some test flights yesterday, and just as we got into the cemetery, this B-52 circled right over the grave, and I don't know whether that was planned or not. I mean, I'm going to say no, but I mean, it was impressive. It was impressive.
They
It was just
very well been playing.
so solemn too.
Yeah.
But sadness, too.
Yeah. By the time I realized it was Jack's grandson, it was too late to even go down. I'm usually a day or two behind.
We had about
1,100
people come through the door. It was impressive.
Yeah.
But
believe it or not, you of course knew Jack from school because he was guidance counselor. But I had him as my gym teacher in 3rd grade at Gilderland Elementary School back in the 50s.
Yeah.
I think it was his first year teaching. May have been his last year teaching too. For all I don't know what he did, but he left there and came up here right after that.
He worked in the funeral. He worked in the furniture store. Part-time.
Oh, okay.
Isn't his son your neighbor?
Yeah, I don't think he's there anymore. I think he moved out. He was a couple doors down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not this son though. It was a different son.
Yeah.
Not the.
He's
not the father
a
of
guidance
this kid.
counselor too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middle school.
Well, actually, I'm not sure. I don't remember. They had so many kids. When I was teaching school, back when my wife was still in high school, there were, when they joined the two families, when Jean and Jack got married, Jack was a widower with 6 or 7 kids, and she had a whole mess of kids. There were, in the 3 grades of the high school at that time, there were 5 members of that family.
Wow. Yeah, they used to live up on Grand Avenue in Smealy's old house.
They lived
on the corner.
They lived in the Smealy house. That's right. That later became
the Flower House.
Salmon's house.
Is that who's in there now?
No, he moved too.
No,
I don't know who's in there now.
No, I think he's down in Schenectady.
Yeah, they moved
That's
to
a nice
Niskuna.
house.
Oh, it's a beautiful house.
Beautiful.
And they used to have the lot behind them
Right,
too.
the Whites, where the Whites house
We
is.
used to play football night a lot.
We used to have snowball fights there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, you know that story. Pete, I'm running for family court judge. So this is by 1994, right?
Okay.
And I'm being interviewed on the radio. Blah, blah, blah. By this point, I'm a distinguished jurist, having been on the bench in city court for 9 years at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So, this woman calls up and says, "I'm never going to vote for you. I remember when you used to throw snowballs across Glen Avenue." Holy God! I was 13 years old. We had a snow day. We all went up to Smealy's grandparents' house and played up there and had snowball fights across Glen Avenue. Yeah. What the heck?
You'll have long memories here, Mr. Gully.
Oh my Lord!
This is true.
Wow. Remember all those things you did when you were a kid, Pete?
Well, some of that might have happened right here on this property. That'll be another show.
That's true.
Another day.
So, what else is going on?
Not too much.
You guys are doing a lot of funerals.
Not too much. Seems that. Seems that way. Seems that way.
How many funeral homes are you operating now?
We have 5 actual locations.
Okay.
But the one location houses 2 funeral homes, so you could say we have 6. But
which one is that?
But that would be the Gloversville branch. It's Walworth and Stewart and Kabuski Connick. But John Connick, wanting to kind of phase out and slow down, phased his business into the same location, so it's he can step in and step out as he can.
So he's not a partner, or
he not so much, not so much. He just he
of counsel.
Of counsel. Yep. He's a good mentor. Good guy.
Who owns the building?
Good guy. Well, that's part of the
kind of both own the
hierarchy. Kind of the hierarchy. He moved in with us, so
okay. All right. All those things happen over the years.
John Connick's father was a neighbor of mine in Gloversville when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. His father. Old Mr. Connick's father was a neighbor of June's.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
Right. That was a great story of.
Would that have been the old building then? Was that Bleecker Street?
That no. He lived my neighbor. He lived on West 8th Avenue.
West 8th. Okay.
Was that where the funeral home, or did he have a funeral home, or no?
No. The father didn't have a. funeral home. I don't believe.
No, but they at some point moved in with
Hey, you know what
Connick started in Newburgh, I believe.
Right.
Researching my World War II book, I came in recently. I was extending into mid to late 1946, going through the old newspapers, and I found the incredible controversy. It's a pure Amsterdam story about John Betts fighting with the zoning board and the public about putting in a funeral home at the present location.
Wow.
And
If
in those days the law was, if X number of people signed a petition against the variance, then the vote of the Common Council had to be unanimous. And what happened was there were X number of people. Wait, they're going to increase the traffic on Guy Park Avenue. Where are we going to park? The usual stuff. I mean, you just can't imagine. You can imagine because it's whenever anything happens, but it's not like that was. The middle of Wilkes Avenue. I mean, we're talking Guy Park Avenue is commercial all the way down to there.
Store right next to the place,
and across the street, and all that
because
stuff.
I think that's the primary location was going to be where Stewart's is now, somewhere in that vicinity.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
And he had he was my understanding is that he was quite a visionary. When looking at what he wanted to accomplish and what he wanted to do, and he wanted to create, he wanted to have a parking lot, and they were very much against the park. What do you need a parking lot for? You don't need that, and something to do with the banker at the bank who was gonna loan the loan said, you want to know what? We got this great little house down on 171. It'd be perfect. Well, I guess a buddy owned it, and they needed to sell it. Nobody was buying it. And he said, "You don't need that. We got plenty of on-street parking right down here at 171." And that's how it came to be.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
Vicious battle.
Yeah,
Vicious battle.
I'm sure.
Well, here's what happens, because it gets even trickier. I forget who was mayor at the time. The Corporation Council. Well, first of all, it's needless to say, it's not a unanimous vote of the zoning board. It's like 4-1 or something like that. Or may even been the Common Council had to grant the variance. Whatever it was not unanimous. The Corporation Council rules the petitions were technically invalid and therefore meaninless, and therefore you didn't need a unanimous vote. And needless to say, it was. And this is like, of the 20 people who spoke at the meeting, 19 were against and 1 was in favor. But
Jerry DeCasatis isn't that old.
Jerry DeCasatis isn't that old. Yeah, forget who. It was a neat move in any event, and that's how the funeral home came to be, actually.
Yeah.
And it's been an institution down there ever since. Wow. Oh. But yeah. How the heck did John get into? His father was a noted barber.
I don't actually know what and I think it had something to do when he because I believe he was Navy. It had something that started.
He was in the war.
Something that started with the Navy, and I guess that's how we got interested in it, or he was some type of a medic or something. I'm not sure.
I think I found his high school yearbook picture and said future plans. He wanted to be a funeral director. Maybe he might have been like you, just hanging out.
You start.
Well, no. Pete started out in high school.
Let's go back. 15 years old. Well, we need somebody to wash. The hearse.
Right.
And do this. And this is back when when Betts Rossi Bellinger first started, when it was the accumulation of Johnson Lindsay and Rossi and Sargalis and Boyce and this kind of little thing started. We're going to need somebody to take care of all these cars, this fleet we got now, and so that's what I did, and it was great because I was able to be active in school, and still have a part-time job, and you could come down virtually any time. you know, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon up till, you know, 10, 11 at night, and just wash the cars and put them away. And back then we still owned the facility on Mohawk Place.
Yeah, which was a nice garage.
Yeah, which it was great.
Yeah.
Had hot water, cold water. You know, it just and that's what I did. And then after about 2 weeks of that was, well, can you take this piece of paper and take it over to the doctor and you know, okay, I could do that, you know. So, all right, well then, in the week after that, well,
this boy's got talent.
We need you.
We thought he was just a car washer.
We need you to put on a suit. You think you can put on a suit and go to a cemetery and you know, yeah, I can do, you know, and then
This suit?
yeah, well, not this suit. No.
Before you know it, he's parking cars.
But then we're parking cars and we're washing cars and making sure the oil's good and it's ready to go, air in the tires, and then you're putting, you know, caskets in the back of the car and flowers in this car, and so and then I went to high school, or you know, got through high school, and that was always my plan B, but wanted to be a criminal investigator. So that was my dream. Loved Law and Order. And
hey, we could do a whole TV show on this.
You know, and
Undertaker PI.
went to school and got through a year of that and said, this isn't going anywhere. You know, everybody was happy to put a gun on their hip, and you know, that's nice and dandy, but you know, that was, you know, wasn't my focus, and happened to land into the mortuary science program. And
where'd you go for that?
That's history. Canton, up next to St. Lawrence.
Is that a 4-year program?
It is now. It is now. Back when I went, it was not.
2 years.
It was 2 years.
Actually,
3 years.
Hour and a half a day.
Yeah. Then you have a year. Once you take your state board, or national board, I should say, you had a year residency. And then once you do that, you had a state test, and then you're licensed. So, but went through that, and here
They found a spot for you.
And found a spot. Next
thing you know, they find a house for you.
Yeah.
Then they find a wife for you.
Yeah, and it was, it got all worked out. But
you know, if you're going to work for us, you ought to have a couple of kids.
yeah.
But you got rid of the hot tub.
Yeah, I got rid of the hot tub. That was a sad day.
You know, I'm sorry I didn't buy it off you. Now I think about it.
Yeah, you know, they're a lot of fun. Maintenance, not as much maintenance as a pool, though.
Yeah.
The pool's a lot of maintenance, but you know, got a boat.
But the chemistry is a little more sensitive.
Yeah,
than the hot tub.
a little bit. But got a boat instead, and couldn't be happier. That was a good thing for weekend recreation.
Does your boat have a name?
Rosie.
Rosie.
Yeah. Rosie. But
Wow.
it's good. It's good.
You have a dock up on the
Yeah.
Sakadaga?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. We're right at Lasky's Marina. Nice little quiet family place. You know, it's good.
It's not quiet when the roses show up.
No, not always. Not always. But yeah.
And the lovely Mrs. Rose took care of me at the Alpen House.
She does.
With my cool pool chemistry.
We'll give that got to give that a plug. 842-5900.
Yeah.
All your pool, spa.
By the way, we just won a $25 gift certificate for the place.
Okay.
In the penny sale up at the Sanford Farms.
Oh, nice.
The other day. So
nice.
I said, well, I said, Mary, put one in there. We use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I got, of course, I love your wife anyway, but she was very professional, knew exactly what she was talking. If she didn't know what she was talking about, she sure faked me out. After about 15 years, I kind of know what I'm talking about myself. So it was, just gets better and better. I mean, it used to be you go up there and it'd be a 15-minute process, and they shake everything up and just test it and get some more water and try it again. Now it's like advanced chem lab. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah.
But it floats on the water.
It floats on the water and you play basketball.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Okay.
Very
All right.
cool.
Remember, we're on the air. Where was I? But now they just pour the water into this thing, and it's like it's like one of these forensic shows. And then all of a sudden, all the spits everything out.
Comes out like, oh, this is what you need.
It floats on water and you put basketball in it.
Yeah. Cool.
It fits over me.
How's the water? Is it warm?
Away from you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want my baby to
Originally
learn how
South
to
Side.
do this.
Daughter of Ron and Diane Briggs. That rings a bell. Ron was with Lexington.
Diane Briggs?
Diane was his speech therapist.
No, I went to school with the Briggs that's married somebody on the
Well,
south side. That's well, okay.
Trust me, these Briggs are a lot younger than you. Yeah. They live out in the town of Florida, right?
Yeah, town of Florida. Town of Florida.
I remember going up there once. I don't remember why. I think you guys were probably still in high school at the time.
Well, you came to a couple ball games when I used to play for the town, out there in Minaville.
Yeah. Wow. God, you've been part of the family forever.
Yeah,
here.
it's been a long time. Time.
God, we got pictures of them at the birthday parties and never stops.
No, that's true. It's true.
And made known as Francisco grandparents, his mother's parents.
Yeah.
Wow. You lost both your grandmothers within a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Recently?
Like.
Or was it a year ago now? Or?
It's been a year, and it was like a 11-day stretch.
Wow.
11-day stretch. It's one of those things that you learn. Some lessons you learn earlier in life than you really want to, and I lost my dad about 9 years. Well, 9 years ago now, but it was 8 years ago at the particular point. So you kind of, that was an early lesson,
Right.
And I think that's probably why I do what I do, because there's some history there. But my one grandmother, my father's mother, was diagnosed with a pancreatic cancer, stage 4,
Right.
and we went through exactly a 30-day window.
Wow.
Of just,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. Well, and I was okay with that, and then I get a call. We literally did the calling hours were on a Friday and the funeral was Saturday, and literally 2 weeks later I'm right back at the funeral home on a Friday and a Saturday doing the same thing.
Wow.
And my mother calls me, and I can tell immediately from the tone of voice. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, you need to, she had died down on vacation down in Virginia Beach, and you gotta call your aunt. She don't know what to do. And I said, well, I don't know what to do. I said, you better call somebody else. But that was 2011.
Was your aunt with her?
Yeah. Well, she was at work, but my uncle, who was off for the day, had gone out for the morning and came back home, and she had gone to sleep right in her chair, which is ironic because that's what my grandfather did about not too long before 4 years prior to that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but it's one of those things that you just never
Rosemary
prepared
could
for.
not have been that old. How old was
She was 79, would have been 80. Would have been 80.
Now your aunt was pretty young. Is pretty young.
Yeah, she's
an aunt.
in her 40s.
Yeah.
She's more my sister than my aunt.
She was like your big sister.
Yeah. She I think she was 12. When I came home, I think she was about 12 or somewhere there in the teens when I was born.
Yeah.
But more my big sister than anything.
Wow.
But
was she living with your aunt at the time?
Well,
or visiting?
Yeah, she was visiting.
Oh, okay.
They had always gone down for a month, a couple months stint during the winter.
Yeah.
And she was supposed to come home not long after that, because this was April 30th, give or take a couple of days, and would have been home, in May, and just one of those things,
One of my cousins, on my mother's side, had her in-laws used to vacation in Florida every year, and then they drive home, and they're driving home, and the wife dies in the car while they're in Virginia. While they're driving, I think while they were driving, and So, yeah, I mean, I can imagine your aunt's question 20 times more. Well, what the heck do I do now?
What do you do?
So I guess they arranged to ship her body up to Massachusetts or whatever, and I imagine that wasn't cheap. 10, 15 years later, the widower is vacationing in Italy, and he dies on vacation.
Now that was expensive.
That was
a lot of ice.
Yeah.
Take a guess what the disposition was.
Bury him there.
Cremation.
Put him in your pocket and bring him home.
Yeah.
Bring him back in the suitcase.
That's what it was.
I believe that.
Do you do cremations right here in town?
We don't. In New York State, it is a conflict of interest to operate to own a funeral home and to operate a crematory.
Is that right?
That's right.
What's the theory?
There isn't one.
It was just protecting independent crematoria.
The theory is that I think the state had some foresight here, and cemeteries would kind of dwindle, and they are regulated under the state, which the cemeteries are. So if they have if the state says that the crematories have to be operated by the cemeteries, then the cemeteries aren't losing money from from not burying. So that's my theory anyway. But
wait, so the crematoria are owned by cemeteries?
They're owned by cemeteries.
Get out of here!
And regulated by the state, but the state says that only the cemeteries can own the crematories.
Where's the closest crematory?
Schenectady. There's actually two, right in Schenectady.
But don't rush off.
Well, I'm getting close. You have more cremations in a plot than you can.
Roughly, yes. You can put two per plot, or you can buy a cremation plot, and that's half the price of a traditional plot. But if you want to put two, you got to buy a full plot. So
I had the occasion where a relative of mine died and was buried in a cemetery, and X number of years later, the spouse dies, cremated, out of town, out of state. The kids brought the urn here, dug a hole.
Oh, you mean
I didn't hear this, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's
in the spouse's plot. Put the urn in there.
Cremation.
Who would ever know?
Cremation's not for me. I'm very traditional in that regard. But I got to say, it is definitely.
Not to mention, there's no money in it for your.
we do
the service.
Well, we do. As long as we can provide the level of service that we can provide and still offer a good rate or a fair rate, I should say. I think that's okay. But cremation, I tell you, I
assume you would get professional courtesy.
But.
What else did you expect?
But there's a lot of different avenues to take with it that I think is kind of cool. One of the things which I was shocked. I had a friend of mine, a friend's grandmother, a friend of the family, passed away a couple of years ago, and I think the lady was about 100. And she wanted to be cremated, which shocked just.
Right.
I fell out of the chair.
Right.
But it was interesting. It was Christmas time, and they had a little family plot and a little country cemetery out near Esperance, and they couldn't bury anyway. And so they said, well, we want to have her, this is what we want to do, can you do this? And I said, well, sure, because the state really regulates what we can and can't do. One of the things is provide food or beverage in a funeral home.
You can or you can't?
Can't
anymore. Can somebody bring it in?
No. But if I was to bring, say you want to be laid out, we'll bring the casket right through here, and you can have a party and drinks and serve whatever you want to serve, and there's no problem.
If it's here.
If it's here. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So anyway, what they said is, look, it's December, we want her cremated, we want you to bring the urn, and we're going to have calling hours at her house. I said, all right, well, that's cool. And they said, we want you to show up. I said, okay, well, I can do that. I went, it was, I think it was like a Thursday night, middle of December, snow's on the ground and whatnot, and I pull up, and there's hundreds of cars all over the place. And I walk in, and they're literally having a party. First thing I walk in, they said, "What do you want to drink?" They hand me a drink, and they got Grandma sitting on the dining room table, all this food around, and then they got pictures, poster boards, and of course it was her house all around. And somebody playing the piano in the living room. I mean, it was great. It was honestly great. And then in the spring, we met at the graveside for a little family committal, and then we went out to lunch afterwards. And I thought, oh, geez, that was pretty neat, you know. And you can't, and that's where you're limited.
You can't do that at your
can't do it at our funeral home. New York State says. Every other state in the union says you can, but not New York.
You used to be able to.
You used to be able to. But
the whole funeral home concept is fairly recent.
Recent, absolutely.
I'm reading these old newspapers. It was probably the exception rather than the rule as late as the 40s to have the funeral at the funeral home as the wake at the funeral home as opposed to the house.
Right.
And now it's so rarely done. I mean, every once in a while you see it, but
right. I want to say.
So that's why they didn't serve liquor at Bobby O'Brien's Irish wake.
That's right. That's why you had to go to Crystal Bar afterwards. But
doggone! I was wondering. I go down there.
I know. But most Irish wakes,
a little Irish whiskey.
Irish wakes aren't typically at the funeral home anyway. You got to go down to the tavern one block down to see the family. You know what I mean? So, but but that's that was what I would call a drawback. To having a traditional funeral, you can't. But
now, since you've been in the business, have you had any in-home wakes?
I have, and I got to say they're pretty darn cool. It is neat.
Back when I was in the furniture moving business, when I worked for Irv Tenzer, I was a schlepper.
Okay.
By the way, Ruth Tenzer, I don't know if I've mentioned Ruth on this show. She passed away a few weeks ago, and she's the person who told me to go to law school. She said, "You don't want to be a schlepper all your life." I was working for her, $1 an hour. You don't want to be a schlepper all your life. I'd already had my 4 years at college. You need to go to law school. Be everything you can be. Anyway, back in those days, I used to move a lot of furniture, and in some of the older houses, you have these winding staircases, difficult to move furniture around, and yet it wasn't as difficult as you may think, because built into the corners were what they called coffin corners, where it wouldn't be a straight corner. They would carve out enough room so that the coffin could swing through and come down the stairs.
Interesting.
Which made it easier to move couches.
Interesting.
Yeah. Coffin, that's what they were called, the coffin corners.
Interesting.
They call that in some baseball parks too, right? Isn't there things called the coffin corners in some of the baseball parks? Yeah. Where the ball drops dead, or but that's what it was named after. It was named after that architectural feature. You might still see some of those. So I mean, it's not that common though. Because I don't think I've been to one since Ned Wilkinson's. That's been a long time.
It's it's kind of once in a while. I mean, I can remember. I think the last one I did was like 2004.
Yeah.
And I know I've got a buddy over in Sharon Springs. He actually has one on Saturday. The family's going to do that, which is neat. But yeah, it's kind of dwindled. Kind of dwindled. Even funerals at the funeral home now are kind of dwindling. Usually it's, we'll meet at the restaurant and toast to whoever, and that's kind of it. Kind of simplified, but which is nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah. It's skipping the wake altogether.
Yeah, skipping the wake. Well, it's taken a different form.
Yeah.
I think people mourn in all different aspects. It's not that. Yeah. 4 days in black garb. But
I know a lot of people to this day will not step foot in a funeral home. They just won't go to a wake, even if it's one of their relatives.
That's right. A lot of people fear death too. But
I've been going to them since I was a kid. So it's
that's it. Well, I can remember at St. Mary's. That's what we. Father Gully. We sat down and it was Bob, me, Dom Megna, Dr. Dom Megna, I should say.
Yeah.
And
he's working with Anna now,
I did know that. I did know that. And I think we were and there might have been one other. But we were like the trio that rotated funerals at St. Mary's while we were in school. We did that. I mean, sometimes. I mean, maybe that's why they stopped doing that.
You skipped a lot of classes.
We skipped a lot of school, Monday through Friday, and I can remember instances where they'd forget to, because Jerry Kramer, if you remember him, janitor, he'd drive us down, and maybe Sister Elizabeth or Mrs. Kovarvik would pick us up and bring us back up to school. But we used to be able to walk down. And then when we moved up to Scully, we'd have to, get a ride. Yeah. And they'd forget what time the mass was, and maybe it was 9:15 mass, but they wouldn't show up. They thought it was 11, wouldn't come down till noon. So we just, we hung out at the church for a couple hours, here and there. But I think they frowned upon that later in schooling. It just. But yeah, that was a different time. Wow. Used to be three altar boys every funeral mass.
Yep. Yeah. 2 for the candles, 1 for the cross.
You got it. Wow. But yeah, times have changed.
And you don't do a lot of 2 to 4 and 7 to 9s anymore either.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Thank goodness.
It used to be 2 to 4 and 7 to 9 for 2 days. Yeah, that was the exception, rather than the rule, rather than the exception.
Still popular down near the city. I can remember we had a gentleman died here. We had to go down to Long Island. Got there. It was 2 to 4, 7 to 9, and then pack up and come up here. And we had 2 to 4, 7 to 9, and then the funeral the next day. But I was talking to the funeral director down there, and that's all they do: 2 to 4, 7 to 9, and then 9:15. Of course, this is predominantly Catholic. Of course, it is. That area. But 2 to 4, 7 to 9, 9:15 mass. Go out. Next night, 2 to 4. I mean, just boom, 5 days a week. It's just unbelievable.
You don't do Saturdays?
Saturdays are popular. Up here, more popular. But people can't get time off anymore like they used to. They really.
I mean, the 2 to 4 and 7 to 9 made a certain amount of sense in that it allowed for a dinner hour, which the current arrangements really don't.
Right. They don't. They don't.
I mean, it's like what, 4 to 7 or 4 to 9.
4 to 7 is the norm, the typical one. But after 7 o'clock, nobody comes anymore.
Now, is it still true that it's traditional that Protestant funerals are in the afternoon and the Catholics in the morning?
That's typical. I always like to say. Because half the family was Catholic and half was Protestant. I was raised Catholic, but I always used to say I was a Protestant at heart because they really know how to put a dinner together. It just covered dish or chicken and biscuits or ham or Cranesville Cranesville.
The Cranesville restaurant and
how could
Church?
You forget that? I mean, my gosh, you get one meal is 3 days worth of food.
You ever been down to the ham and roast beef dinner down there? Lord, it was terrific. I don't know if it's still the same with now that Ronnie Gotham's not around to call the numbers anymore. He would keep you entertained. You would wait the church.
Did he pass away?
I think so.
Really? I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
I hope I'm not mistaken about that.
I never knew his name, but I knew the face and the voice.
Oh, gosh, he was great.
Yeah.
You didn't have him?
I don't know.
Jeez, I think he passed away, but then I didn't.
Now that you say that, Gotham, that name.
But I don't think I went to the wake, and I ordinarily would have. So I don't know. Maybe
that rings a bell.
I'm pretty sure he did, though.
That does ring a bell. Yeah, I think you're right.
He was a State Farm Insurance guy, and
he had a daughter.
He's had a bunch of lovely daughters. That's why I would have gone. Diane was a friend of mine. I think she was in Mary's class. Nice family, real nice family. Anyway, Ronnie was an outgoing guy, and he was just great at calling the numbers at this thing. You would because how many people in your party, and then he'd say, okay, we're up to number 32. How many in your party? 6. Right. Okay, right. All right, we're going to do 40 to 41. That's party of 2. Come on down. But keep you entertained while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I first got out of law school. I think I was admitted to the bar. Then I had just come back to Amsterdam, so it was just about when Anna was born. And I bumped into him in Vince Vicinanzo's office one day. And he says, you know, a young married guy like you should, you know, just becoming a father, you ought to have a good life insurance policy. I said, Mr. Gotham, I already have life insurance. He said, how much you got? And I told him. And he pauses for the requisite second and a half, and he says, don't plan on staying dead long, do you? You know, a great line, but you know, perfectly got his point across. You know, don't plan on staying dead long. Yeah, great guy, wonderful guy. Yeah. Yeah, he used to have the insurance for the snow cone trucks when I had my 2 accidents. Yeah.
Slid on the ice.
Huh?
Slid on the ice making snow cones.
One of them was my fault. I can't get around the parked car incident. You know, I just. I mean,
that's hard.
It was a narrow spot on Forbes Street, but by the you know where the street really gets narrow by the bottling company. Yeah. I hit a parked car. I can't get around that one. I just can't say the parked car
got you.
Yeah, it jumped out, right?
But the Roman Avenue one, that was a little bit more iffy. That was back when you could take a right turn on red, right? Back before it was the law, but you actually specifically could at that intersection. So I was on Main Street heading west, take the right turn.
Go down to the playground.
No, the right turn going up the hill.
Oh, you're coming in.
Yeah, heading west. And I'm almost all the way. I'm through the intersection actually, and guy comes racing up from Lower Vroman. He's actually got the green light. I've got the red light turn. You know, right on red after stop with caution. Right. And I thought I had. You know, this guy comes plowing, and you know, we intersected.
Did you lose a lot of ice?
Huh?
Did you lose a lot of ice out of your cooler in there?
Well, no. I tried to give him a snow cone, but didn't
try to give him a snow job, did you?
It did not assuage his anger. And apparently, being the kind fellow that I thought, well, there are 2 versions of what I said at the scene. My version was, are you all right? Because I got out of my car and went up to make sure he was all right. And his version was, did I hit you?
Not quite the same.
Oh no,
they're not quite the same.
Of course, they never are.
There wasn't a lot of them back in those days. You know,
there's always
it's
three.
Like $75 worth of damage or something.
That'd be nice.
Which
there's always three sides to every story.
At least.
Yeah. At least. Yeah. Minimum of 3.
Minimum of 3. I had 2 versions myself. Yeah. Well, I managed to keep the job. It was a close call, though. Close call. That was my first year on the snow cone truck.
What were snow cones back then?
How much?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Probably a nickel.
I would say a quarter.
They were a quarter at the races. When we went to like the Fonda races or the Malta races, we charged a quarter because we had a captive audience.
Okay.
15 cents.
15 cents.
15 cents. Wow. I got a 25% commission on what I sold.
Oh.
Okay, they provided the truck and everything else.
Yeah.
I got a 25% commission on what I sold, and it put me through college.
How many flavors?
I had more money. Well,
blue raspberry.
Well, there's almost an unlimited amount.
That's right. You had the rainbow ones.
All right, grape, orange, cherry, lemon, lime, blue raspberry, or any combination thereof.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Okay.
So the complete is a rainbow.
Variety. Nice.
Rainbow.
And you had popcorn sometimes.
And popcorn. We had popcorn.
How much was popcorn?
That was another 15 cents, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it may have been a dime, but I think it was 15 cents for like this much.
You'd be surprised how much.
But listen to this. We would go down to Albany to buy the popcorn at one of these wholesale outfits in downtown Albany. We'd get a bag that was like this big of popcorn, right? Mm-hmm. So it was already popped. We didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to pop anything. It's all like pre-made popcorn in these giant brown bags. You rip those open and get 15 cents a piece out of it. $2.50 is what we paid for a sack that was
good high profit margin.
High profit margin. I mean, it was certainly worth going down to Albany to get. And the same with we'd get the syrup down there, and we get the ice down there for that matter.
And you could make a good living doing it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, yeah, we made a good living doing it, and I put me in. I ended up. That was almost the only job I had in college. It was a summer job doing that, and I had more money in the bank when I got out of college than when I started.
When did you start the carpet?
Just before law school. I started that in January '76. Amsterdam Carpet Cleaners. That's a nice job.
But most people had hardwood floors back then. So
Yeah, right.
No. This was a great town because this town was just loaded with old Sanford and Mohawk carpets. Because people used to work there and they would buy and those carpets were indestructible. They were indestructible. You know, I was went down to Mattis's house the other day. They got one on the floor that's probably 100 years old at this point. Wow. And they're still using it. It's just amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, those old wool carpets, boy, did they clean up nice. And in this town, there was no end to. I could have worked as much as I wanted. It was, you know, when I went to law school, I cut back. But when I was doing my advertising, I was working constantly. It was a good job. If you knew what you're doing, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, the system and just out the door you go.
Back and forth, very relaxing, especially after a long day at law school where your brain is going just get out, do a little manual labor, clean it up, a little chit chat with the housewife, and
let the machine do the job.
I cleaned the rugs down at the funeral home.
Did you?
Yeah, remember Mrs. Betts giving me an option. I could go upstairs and use the sink upstairs, or I could use the sink in the prep room. But you know, we have a visitor there.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'll use the sink upstairs.
Don't want people watching while you work.
You know, I don't say. I mean, I would have if I had to, but I didn't have to. Yeah.
Terrific lady.
By the way, she looks great.
She.
What are those beads made out of?
She amazes me. Just amazes me. And she's 91.
I had not seen her in many years before Dick's funeral, and I was shocked at how great she looked.
Slowed down a little bit, but I can't get over her. I mean, she looks like she's aged a little bit now in the past couple months, maybe. But and then of course, Dick's funeral, she was very emotional. Very emotional. But we had a nice visit not long after that, and sharp as a tack. I mean, and
her brother's even older, isn't he?
Yeah,
Supervisor
Jimmy, the judge. Yeah, he's. I want to say he's 2 or 3 years older. Maybe more. But it was funny. She was talking. She's up at Hillcrest now, and she said, "Well, tomorrow morning I got to go down. We're going bowling tomorrow." I thought, "You're going bowling?" I said, "Yeah, we got the Wii down there on the big TV, and we go bowling." And I thought, "Oh my God, come on, this is and they have tournaments and all this stuff." I thought, "Well, that's great, it just."
Have you done the Wii bowling? It's amazingly realistic.
It really is.
I mean, you put the twist on your wrist, and that ball goes away.
Baseball too. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. But I was amazed. I mean, but just a terrific, classy, old school, lady.
I don't know what those Meads were fed for breakfast when they were growing up.
Oh my
but,
gosh! Well, it was
she
all
must have grown up on the farm.
The farm. It was the farm living.
Here's another. I'm running for family court judge. It's the 4th of July. I said, where the heck am I going to campaign in the 4th of July? And I said, you know what? This is a perfect day to go see the dairy farmers. You get up first thing in the morning and you can hit all the dairy farms, and they don't get a day off. No, the cows don't call in and say I'm taking the day off. They got to be milked
twice a day.
And I started out at the Mead farm, and Ron was running it at the time. But and there's Jimmy. It's like 5 in the morning, and he's up there. He's up there taking care of the cows at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I kept going around from farm to farm. Ended up in the town of Root, Yeah, just at
A
the
lot
tail,
of
just the
farms.
tail of the end of the milking, morning milking.
That talk about farms. That's what my dad did. He
Oh, yeah?
he went to school at Hudson Valley and started off heating, air conditioning, but eventually started his own business, Dan Rose and Company, and he serviced all of the milking products, the bulk tanks, the pasteurization, all that done right at the farms. That's what he serviced and sold. And so he serviced all of Montgomery, Fulton, and some of Hamilton counties. Yeah, it's talk about Judge Meade. There was a story. This old gentleman, was caught speeding or something or whatnot, and the sheriff said, "Well, we gotta take you to the judge. You gotta go, and get you the ticket or whatever." I don't know what they did back in the day, but went right to the farm and.
Right.
They drive him out to this farm and thinking, where the heck am I going? You know what I mean? And here comes the judge out. He's got his milking boots on. He's got his robe on. And there, right in the driveway, they wrote him the ticket or whatever and brought him before the judge. And he's.
No, those are the bad. When I was a young ADA, it was all like Chuck Persons out in the town of Florida. You must know everybody in the town of Florida. Huh? Rosemary's father. Rosemary's father was a judge for a long time out there, and we'd hold court in his kitchen. We'd sit at his kitchen table, and the defendants would come in, and I'd be on one side of the table, the defendant would be on the other, and you take care of business.
Yeah.
Those were the days. I'm on that same trip. I was out in Mineville and stopped at a Democrat. You never went to the Republican dairy farmer first, of course, but I go to the Democrat farmer, and I remember, I had my flag tie on and all that. It's the 4th of July. And, I'm all dressed up, and I'm in this cow barn, and I go to shake the guy's hand, and he says, "No, you don't want to shake my hand. I got cow shit on my hand." I said. I'll shake your hand any day.
Yeah.
Got his vote. Wash my hands afterwards. Of course.
Thank you.
Vigorously.
Well, what the heck? I mean,
Before you went to lunch. Right?
So I say it was, 5 in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning at that point. That was fun. I got a full day's worth of campaigning in before breakfast.
Sure.
Well, it's about time, right? What are we close to 12?
Five of them.
We got a little time. What are the? I see. See the boys made news again, huh? On the soccer field.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This is the Misha Murdoch hour.
He's the bagpiper who plays at funerals and wakes.
Yeah.
More than happy to.
Yeah. For a price. For a price,
obviously, I'm sorry I didn't think. We try to think of everything, but I didn't think of that. But there's nothing more solemn than they're neat too.
Yeah.
I used to play bagpipes.
Is that right?
Tried to.
Really?
Tried to. It's a task. It's a tough task.
This kid is great.
He just
I've
did
heard him.
a couple weeks ago.
I've heard him.
He did one last year for you guys up at the cemetery.
I've heard him. He is good.
He's
But
won a couple prizes.
It's
His
a,
son.
yeah. It's a.
Couple, yeah.
It's
So anyhow, remember.
I will.
No, let's hear about the soccer game.
You don't
Yeah.
have, you don't have
I
a
don't
card?
really.
I have a card. I have a card.
We have a card
Oh,
down.
I have a
Also
card.
a letter we send down.
It's right
Evidently,
on-
you don't look
right
at
on
it
my-
too
when I
often.
wa- Well, it's one of those things that if someone doesn't really pop out, it doesn't always pop out at because not everybody's.
Well, no one
fond of
asked for it
you know what I mean?
necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's
But a military one,
Well, you think, you would have thought the military would have sent their own bagpiper for that one,
well,
but they didn't, huh?
no, they didn't.
Or a tapper.
They
They
didn't.
have somebody play taps?
Yeah, they did. They did. They be alive. That's something to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Because the Loud now have the
Yeah, you just get the
Oh, the
recording.
Yeah,
on the
look.
Yeah.
So my mother.
There's nothing
I think
more,
my
there's
mother-in-law
nothing
had.
more embarrassing if you got the old the battery's dead or something. And we had that happen. We had that happen one time, and we just happened to have our box ready, and it was a good thing we did because there's nothing. Get up there and it's like,
when the mayor had her 9/11 ceremony, they had the recorder one play the taps
Yeah, right.
down there at City Hall, and that was like
It's not the same.
It isn't.
Oh, it's not. It's not even
especially
remotely
when
the
you
same.
got like the school district here with the band, and
Right.
there's nothing more solemn than a live, and especially they'll do the echo.
Yeah.
Get to the echo. It's sharp. It's sharp. But back to the soccer.
Oh yeah,
game.
the echo taps
Oh,
are
the echo's
fabulous.
great.
Yeah. I think my mother-in-law's got it in her will.
It's in my.
I want live, live bugler, not recorded.
Memorex.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran, and I don't want. I want a live bugler, and that's it. That's it. Yeah, she's going strong. So.
There you go. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
House is for sale though, right?
Yeah, you want it?
I drive by. I kind of thought about it, but
Nice yard. Nice yard.
Church Street's a tough. They got sidewalks now. But
There's sidewalks
there's
now.
sidewalks now, but it's a tough.
Is it busy?
It's
No,
busy. It's busy.
Oh, you know. If you move in there, you can send the kids to St. Mary's without even getting on.
the vibe again.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just put a gate in the back into Rochelle Coutinho's yard, and she can cut through the back way. But as you said, there's sidewalks all the way now. So
it's good.
yeah.
It's good.
I understand we're not going to be able to go to Glib anymore.
Why is that?
I believe somebody said they made the apartment in the back and rented the front to the baker.
What baker?
Rositos?
No, the cake baker.
Really? Oh,
That's what I heard. So
so we're gonna have to find a new hangout. Well, this is a nice hangout for the summer. By the way,
It's a beautiful hangout for the summer.
speaking of which, we're going to be off for a couple of weeks because next Thursday morning we're flying out to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho,
For a triathlon?
for the Ironman, for
And
Jamie's
I've
Ironman.
I've asked for some potatoes.
We might be able to work something out. Maybe some potato puffs or something we could bring back. Yeah.
cheese doodles.
And then we'll be gone till we'll be actually be getting back the following Friday morning. But we're taking the red eye, and I probably, even if we get back in time to do the show, I'm probably not going to be
as sharp as you usually
as sharp as I usually am.
Right.
So maybe we'll substitute some athletic photos for the show the following week. So we're going to be off for 2 weeks. So I hope this was a good show.
Good show. It was a great show.
Good job.
Pete, you're full of interesting information. You're welcome back anytime. And I'm sure we have not even exhausted come close to exhausting your funeral stories.
Make another appearance.
Not to mention all the other
love stories.
things you're expert at. We can find out what you guys were really doing in high school.
This is true.
Did you have Mr. Murdoch for a teacher?
He was principal.
Oh, you were already principal. He was already principal by that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Would Pete get called down to the principal's office much?
Only to receive recognition from some sort of an award from
There you go. He was the best drum major the school ever had. I think that's fair to say.
I know. Well, she's done, right?
Yeah,
Done now. Well, today or next week. Yeah.
She's had her last class.
I know. Good replacement though. Good replacement coming up. Yeah. But that end of an era.
Yeah.
End of an
A
era.
long time.
I taught her in school. That's how old I am.
She taught, or she was in the office at St. Mary's when my grandmother was at the office. That was one of her first.
Wow.
Going back, first gigs. Yeah. I think everybody started at St. Mary's once upon a time.
Yeah.
At least for
Gosh, my sister used to work in the office down there. I think my older brother, was a summer janitor down at the rectory.
Wow.
In the school, in the church. Wow.
Yeah.
Lo, those many years ago. Anyway, so I haven't even got into what time? We've got a minute maybe.
Yeah, got a minute.
We started a few minutes after 10, I think.
Yeah.
I've gotten into some of Father Sidoti's files from World War II. Not his. I haven't come across his journals in the attic yet, but I got a lot of his correspondence as a chaplain, and it's great stuff. Oh my God, because the chaplains had to answer all the questions. They haven't heard from my brother in a while. Well, the last we heard, he was missing in action, and then he wasn't missing in action. Well, yeah, okay, we've looked into this, and he wasn't missing in action. He was AWOL, and he just got 10 years in Leavenworth or whatever. Oh, yeah. 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 I'll take 5 and 10 at Woolworth. Oh, there's I won't yeah, I won't give out the names of people who might still be alive, but there's they also, if you were going to marry alien civilian, another member of the armed forces marrying, you needed the permission of the Army or whatever your branch of service was, blah blah blah, and then a lot of this stuff went through the chaplain. And they could deny it or accept it, whatever. So, so I got this whole series of correspondence, you know, where it's I so and so, the girl is writing, have been asked to marry, you know, private so and so, and so and so so and so. I remember distinctly she lived in Maidenhead, England. That kind of stuck out, and underneath is her father's permission for her to marry because she was 17. And the kid is like, the private's like 18. He's probably been in the service for 3 years at that point. All right, so I got all these papers, and then in the separate envelope, there's a letter from the mother. Dear Father Sidoti, could you see to it that you hurry up this wedding because of her condition? please perform this ceremony as soon as possible. Amen. And amen. So I have an amen.
Dennis Geib's father probably had to go through that.
What's that?
I said Dennis Geib's father probably had to go through that.
Oh, is that right?
He had a war bride.
A lot of guys did. Yeah, a lot of guys did.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, I wouldn't marry an American girl again.
Wait, well, your bride's not a war bride.
That's
though.
right.
Yeah,
She's
that's
not
right.
American, so, yeah.
What the heck did you have to go through for that?
That was a different war.
That was the Cold War.
Was that complicated?
Not as complicated as it could have been. By having her come here with a visitor's visa, and then doing everything here is much simpler than if we got married there.
Yeah.
And then try to get permission to bring her in.
Yeah. We kind of did a little bit of an end run on that, but it would have been it's tough. It's tough.
So you faked them out good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we had 32,000 people at our wedding.
He had a good education.
What's this?
We had 32,000 people come to our wedding.
What, did you get married at Shea Stadium or what?
Saratoga Racetrack.
Is that right?
Yeah. I was working there.
32,000.
Yeah, it was a good day.
Wow, that's
Good
great.
day. We were,
What was it, Amsterdam Day?
yes, it was. We wanted Duke to do the wedding, but his jurisdiction is only the city of Amsterdam.
At that time, probably.
So
was
we got our Reverend Cease to do it. But we got married back at the Red Spring, and just as we start taking the vows, they start to replay calls from the previous day's races. So
goes on
as we're coming in the home, is this the one you want? Is leading the pack, you know? And I do wins. You know? Yeah. So. But people had to pay to park to come to the wedding. So.
Well, it depends on where you park.
Did you get a share of it?
Huh?
You didn't get a share.
No, I've been paying ever since. That was,
you got a lovely bride. A lovely bride.
it was good. It was good.
You could have done a lot worse. Yep.
Learned from my mistake. So.
All right.
That's it.
Special guest Pete Rose, continuing guest Gavin Murdoch, occasional guest Jim Nikosha, and I'm Bob Going, and we'll be back in about 3 weeks with more of the show with no name.